Hi guys, looks like I lost the camera. Let's have a look how I can fix this. This is working. I really didn't have any time. I don't know why I couldn't check that, but it will be a kind of a top view experience today, I think, but let me quickly have a look. Yeah, didn't break, but let me try to fix it. If it sounds good, then that's fine by me as well. It's really stupid. I can see my camera in the software here, but just not here. Let me quickly see if I can do something. If I can't do anything, then let me see if I can. Yes, I'm back. Hey, I don't know why I didn't recognize it. Welcome everyone. It's a bit on the low side though. Hopefully sounds good. I don't know if the picture improved with me in it, but hopefully everything is working right now. Let me quickly just scroll through every scene that I have over here. There, that's oh, that's messy. That's there. The screen, that's that phone, and then the phone and the screen, and milling and the microscope. Yes, and the microscope alone, and that's it. Welcome. Cheers, everyone. So. Yet another week has passed, and it's been a weird week. In all transparency, I haven't been able to work a lot last week, but I'm going to try to work like a 300% in the next few days. I have a little bit of time in the weekend as well, so I should be able to do a little bit of extra work there. But because of my shoulder. It's not really getting any better. I did get some antibiotics as well. But coming Wednesday, will be a day of a new injection. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully that's going to solve it, basically. So this week also didn't change the background, but this week I wanna show you YInTiCo PR298, as I promised last week, as well as just chat. Next week, I don't know, I'm not quite sure. Next week probably will be just a lot of chatting. I'm not quite sure if I can do a lot with my shoulder after the injection, so. We'll see. So, hopefully everyone is okay. Obviously, and I really need to check the chat here, since there it's only starting to work when I go online, or when I start my stream. But Paolo, Ian, Gulchen, Mr. Pigments, and Toast, welcome. Hopefully everyone is okay, doing well. It's been a weird week, news-wise as well. Don't want to talk too much about it, like I said last week, but still, it's kind of waking up with different shit each morning. I don't want to accept that's part of it, so I'm not going to do that. but I would almost say you're getting used to it. So yeah. Let me see. Can I check just quickly change the background? Maybe. Maybe I can just quickly change it. Is there a change it in something more neutral, not as blue? Oh, at least that's, you know, that's a muller. So hopefully I don't. Are you seeing this? What I'm doing right now? Like big in the screen? No, right? Hopefully. So it's not, as you can see, it's not YInTiCo in my background. Although I do really feel that I should just go all the way. I mean, just still people kind of dropping in. Let me see if I can quickly change YInTiCo on the background there. Quickly taking an image here. Oh, I need to color correct that. Yeah, I know, Ian. I know. It's I don't know if it's an improvement from an empty screen if my face is in it, but at least it's a little bit more personal, I think. I think that's you know, it is more personal. Let's color correct this. Oh, I'm going to check that out, Gulchen. It is cooler than this. It is also a little bit more vivid, but not as vivid as that. I think this should do. I really can't just like in a rush. I don't think I can make it any better than I have it right now. And I'm talking about the picture of YInTiCo, since I want to do that as a background. And then airdrop it. Can be a little bit lighter, right? Yeah, it can be a little bit lighter. Let's just fix that a little bit. Airdrop that to my computer. And then change the image here, and we should be YInTiCo-ish. It's not really, it's not the sharpest of pictures. Let me just shrink it down a bit so we can appreciate the structure a little bit more. This should do it, right? This is I can't do better than this. Just as quickly. Color-wise, it's good, but I took this like from the shadow in the bottle of the pigment, so my apologies for that. Yeah, I know, Gulchen, but that's just about the idea of it, I think, more than if it's a good image or not. I know it's not. Let me quickly make sure that the slab is fully clean. Creative Colors, welcome. Hop. How much of it shall we make? Let's start with a little bit. Let's also involve you a little bit with the process of it. I am going to make YInTiCo Red PR298. Since last week it became clear that some of you didn't know the color, weren't familiar with it. Some of you were, but only with Schminke, a version of this one. Can we see your big muller? Ian! How rude of you to ask. There are kids here. This is the big muller. Let's use it as well today, okay? I don't know if there are kids here. There is the big muller. Ian always has a bit of a dirty mind, I think. I don't know. Or don't you? I don't know. If it's... Sometimes some of the comments I think come from Ian. I think Rick is worse though, but... Let's get mixing. This is a very easy color, by the way. If you have ever worked with, as a paint maker, making paint or with the pigment, if you have ever worked with Yin and if you ever want to work with YInTiCo, this should be extremely recognizable when you're making paint. So it feels quite dense. It's not very light, it's not very powdery. It's quite dense. You can make the surface, you can make it quite smooth as well with your palette knife. You can almost kind of, let me see if I can show it you to here. You can almost kind of sculpt with your palette knife. And smoothen it out really nicely. It's really compact pigment. Kind of feels like cobalt, some cobalt. The way it moves, it almost feels like it's almost a little bit, I don't want to say moist, but yeah, maybe it is. Like that kinetic sand kind of vibe that it has. It doesn't. It's not grainy. It's not powdery. It has a certain feel to it, and with that feel comes something very pleasant. For my shoulder, it's very easy to mix, very easy to wet. So this isn't a very accurate color. I know my camera here has some issues with these pinks and bright reds. I think my phone makes it a little bit too dark right now. Kind of need to, can we kind of overcompensate the darkness. No, we can't. It's a little bit too vibrant and a little bit too dark. It's somewhere in between. It looks like melted lipstick, yeah. There, absolutely. Unless your lipstick was a Bordeaux red, then it wouldn't look like this, but I know what you mean. Can we see if I can somewhere have a camera where it's... No, that's not saturated enough. I think I put the saturation down here for the yellow a while back. Okay, so I'm going to fix that tomorrow as well. And I think we appreciate that, Ian. There's nothing wrong with that. As a paint, this is super easy. I noticed my camera is... it couldn't handle the colors, I think. Come on. There we are. The high dynamic range of my camera is having a hard time right now. It wants to compensate for the bright pink, but it doesn't want to overexpose my hands. It doesn't know what to do. The edges are dark. In the middle it's light, but then there's the light muller that comes along. It just doesn't know what to do. I'm mulling with both hands, by the way, just to use a little bit of, use less energy for my shoulder here. It's not that it's hard to mull or anything. I can just do it with this hand. It's a little bit sticky though as a pigment, I have to admit that. But once you go over it a few times, as I'm doing now, it is already kind of mixed already. Is there a lot of buffering? Because there is no problem here on my side. At least what it doesn't give me any problem. That's maybe I should put it like that. It doesn't notify me of anything. Usually it does, and sometimes then it doesn't show. No buffering on your end, Gulton. Okay, that's good. I'm glad about that. In that case, I'm sorry, Creative Colors. Hopefully, no offense, it's on just your side. Because I've had streams that were really bad. Lagging wise. Well, if you need to lower the resolution, maybe it is, I don't know, maybe it could be your provider, your browser, I don't know. Here everything is in the green for me. Usually YouTube kind of scares me, or OBS, one of the two. It gives me a yellow banner here in OBS. about my bit rate, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's green as well. And even if I get that warning, it's green and everything works. But I've had a few times that it really had influence on my stream. I still do get the notification, but then it doesn't show any lagging after that. So I think I fixed that. The muller with light coming through from the bottom of it. So it is as good as done. It's definitely not red. It's a PR pigment, so it's in the pigment red family. But so is quinacridone magenta. At least my version, PR298. It fits nicely between Potter's Pink, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine pink or ultramarine rose, and that fabulous tin orchid I had, PBR. Was that PBR? 236? I think it was, wasn't it? Let me have a look. Should be here somewhere. Yeah, PR236. Let's see if what I feel on the slab is actually correct. Yes, it was. So a beautifully finely dispersed pigment, which takes a little effort to mix. It is one of my most expensive ones. So, at least the most expensive red that I have. And if I say red, I just mean PR, right? It's in the red family. We don't have a PP for pigment pink, so it is just a very expensive pigment. And that's you know, that's the only reason of the costs. With what colors do you want me to mix it? First I'm going to fill some pans. Let me know what you want to see mixed with it, and I can see if I can do that. I don't want to waste too much of the pigment though. It is, like I said, it is a very, for me, a very expensive pigment. Not only for me, it's just very expensive in general. It really depends on what you're mixing it with, Mr. Pigments. It doesn't turn brown. I don't know where you get your yin mint from, but mine turned into a very dullish violet, the one you are disappointed by in at school. That kind of violet, but not brown at all. I think a muted violet that is indeed Gulchen dull, not to the neutral side of grey, but a dull violet. I think that's a good way to describe it. Well, then you shouldn't call it a brown, because that's completely a different color, Mr. Pigments. Then just describe the hue angle for us, and we can understand it a little bit better. No, I know Gulchen. That's why I put them in a trio together, because it's like an unmixable yellow, blue, and red new set of pigments that either kind of separate or just give something very unsatisfactory, I think. This doesn't make a blushy orange or a nice salmon with NTP yellow. It gives you something disappointing, I think, which is quite fun. It's quite nasty of me to put them together in a set, but I liked the idea of it. At least when I was making it. I pre-mixed them before. I mean, I tried it out. Phthalo blue it is. No, I get that. Let me quickly have a look if I can see. I had some kind of mixed now. I used pans of mine. Maybe it's somewhere here as well. That would help me a lot, actually. Do I just find a pan of PB74? I don't even offer PB 74. And here's a pen of it. Exciting stuff. And a little treasure chest here. Is there any phthalo blue here? No. That is not phthalo blue. No. And that's not dry yet. So it needs to make a little bit of phthalo blue paint on the slab. In that case, I'm just going to top these off first. Not topping off, by the way, but going to fill some extra pens. Swatch PB74. Yeah, let me first get. I need more room. I need more space. I'll do that afterwards. Don't you have a bit in a pen? Yes and no, Creative Colors. I topped those off. It's not dry yet, so I wanna. And I can't find my used palette with paints. I was planning it on putting it in this, but I don't know, my head sometimes just doesn't let me finish my plans. And I can't imagine it being somewhere. Oh, maybe I have a dot. Maybe I just have a dot in. I'm sure I have a dot in stock. Should be. All days, welcome. I am doing okay-ish. Oh, no, I can't complain. How are you? Oh, don't waste this paint. Don't waste this paint. Let's have a look. Do we need a lot of it? No, we don't need a lot of it. We're not wasting this paint. PB15. Oh, there's enough of this. There's enough of it. Now we need paper. Well, I remember where everything important is, my pigments. I don't paint anymore. So the paint that I have is for selling, and that's kind of organized enough. Don't mention my swatches though. But when it comes to my own things, I used to have a palette. But then there was someone who visited my studio, and they really wanted to try my paint, and I wasn't kind of setting up for a new a reopening of my store last year, I think. I wasn't monetized for YouTube, so it was more than a year ago. And I thought, you know, I use my paints. I just use them for swatching. My last shop update, so I don't use this. So they got my own palette with mostly kind of half-filled pans or even dots. So I'm just going to swatch this on its own here. Which is a lovely... I do really think it is a lovely granulating pink, and I really like the color. The great thing about Phthalo blue, or Phthalos in general, Sebastian, welcome, is that it doesn't change the characteristics of this paint. It even enhances it. So it kind of separates, as you can see here, kind of. Let me quickly see if I can color correct it a little bit, that camera. Oh, I'm afraid it's in OBS. It's in the software mostly. But let me quickly see if I can do a little bit about it. That's too much. Maybe just add it a tad cooler. That's too much. Well, the pink doesn't shine through as much as it does in real life, but it is the wrong camera. There we are. It does separate a little bit, so it gives a lovely kind of a muted violet in the background, but it's getting a little bit more chromatic because of that granulating pink that is separating from each other. So I really like this. Let's try it with a little bit more blue. Oh no, YInTiCo, it isn't. It is a heavily granulating opaque pigment, so it's not meant for mixing. It's not that you can't do it. It just doesn't really want to be mixed. And, you know, that's fine by me. You do end up with the granulation, even in the slightest mixes. It tends to separate a little bit. So even here, with the slightest hint of kind of pink in the background, I think it's a little bit visible for you. Let's see if I can show it better like this here. You can see the pink a little bit better there. So I think it has its uses. I don't think it's for everyone. But so isn't the price. I mean, I'm very aware of that. Yeah, that's Ian, exactly. That's Rick, welcome. I didn't see you before here. That dry brushed effect you're talking about, Ian, I really like that about separating colors, especially ones that separate like this, because this, in my opinion, this separates quite beautifully. This separates better, I think. Maybe you if you can put it full screen, if you haven't done that already, for people, you can see it better. Dirty blue, for instance, it doesn't separate as evenly as this. It's meant to separate a little bit. That yellow ochre with the ultramarine blue, the granulation of it kind of gives it a denim color. With this, you also get that muted kind of mix. And for an effect, for instance, this would be great for a sunset, for instance. Not everything, but it just gives that slightly pink texture in the blue evenly, and that's what I think is really, really nice. And Rick, you're absolutely right. Pretty much any color can look good in given context. So yeah. Hot there. It's like 2 degrees Celsius here. I'm jealous. I want it to be slightly warmer here as well. That would be nice. So yeah, YInTiCo mixed with phthalo blue. Any other requests? I'm afraid I ran out of these strips of paper. It's nothing to laugh about, actually. I know where they are, and they're in the cupboard over there, but I need to move a lot if I need to. Yeah. So, any preferences of mixes or anything you want to see with YInTiCo? I still have a little bit here on the slab, which is already kind of drying, so I can perfectly use this as a swatching paint. Maybe in the meantime I'm going to have a look for paper that I can use. Isn't there anything here anymore? I can use this, right? Yeah, I can use this. I'm talking to myself in the meantime, so. I do have something here, which is still from my manganese video, my manganese family video. PB74. Well, I don't know if that's the deep version, to be honest. I have paper to swatch with. Let me just read back quickly. Oh, buff titanium, I like that. Dirty white, yeah. That is a good question. Do you prefer PV19 over PR122? I like that question. Yes, where is buff titanium? Should be somewhere here, right? Maybe I can. That one is dry. I like the idea of this. It's like mixing an opaque with an opaque. That is nice. That is a beautifully. I need more water. It's like we created a soft potter's pink. Let's have a look if this is more accurate. Accurate. Wow. So let's. The separation of these two is even more spectacular, but on the slab. I will show you in a minute. These actually mix quite well. I like this. Just going to make it a little bit more wet to see what the separation does, and see if I can show you. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Maybe put a little jar underneath it. It is buff titanium all days, yeah. Why would you curse, Rick? Why would you use words like that? Let me have a look if I can. Yeah, Creative Colors. I'm not quite sure which version of PB74 I made there. It was probably an experiment from a long time ago as well. So I'll have a look for you, but I can't promise it's the deep version. Let me have a look here. I want to show you what it does when it's. Oh, it's not really clear here. Here it is. This is just looking white, but all the YInTiCo here is just sinking down to the bottom. It's heavier than the titanium. It's weird here, the buff titanium just floats on top. The wet in wet, it just floats on top of the YInTiCo. This is what I like about single pigment mixes as well. You can mix something quite similar to YInTiCo, but you wouldn't have the characteristics of the reactions it has on other pigments and the characteristics of the pigment itself. So I really like this, playing like this. Let's have a look. Cobalt. At least PB74. Doesn't look like the deep version if I look at it like this, but let's have a look. I don't know what Cobalt PB74 Cobalt Deep needs to look like, or what you're used to. I don't think this is the one though. Is it? This is the one that's closest to a very green ultramarine, PB29. And I remember why I made this, why I mixed this. So this is that. I don't know if this is what you expected it to be. If it is, I will mix it with YInTiCo. In that case, I'm already mixing it. No, I'm not already mixing it. Putting down the blue here. And let's add a little bit of the YInTiCo. That is drying fast, by the way. Come on. Let's have a look where we are. Why are we mixing stuff? Well, because this is YInTiCo and it's a very expensive pigment, and it's just nice to see how it mixes with things. So this is with Cobalt Deep. This is actually quite accurate, by the way, the colors here. It's mostly this is what I just, you know, my eyes here. This is very accurate. So it's definitely more warm leaning than my phthalo blue. That's a green shape, so that's obvious. But it's a kind of a dullish lilac, and it's yeah, creative colors. Creative colors. Could you please see what I did here? Like I'm adding more blue later, right? But I want to give it a little bit more time to see what everything does. So this granulates more, it doesn't really separate. This does, but that's kind of, you know, logical when it comes to the gravitational point of the pigments, where phthalo blue is quite, it's a very light pigment. Can I show it next to PV62? I can do that. I will show it next to my my swatches of it, if you don't mind. I think, especially when I look at the more violet kind of mix with YInTiCo, so with more YInTiCo in it, I really think it's a waste of a very expensive pigment, because you can get this with some quite basic pigments. You don't need something like this for it, whereas this, the heavily granulating properties of YInTiCo as a more chromatic pink than Potter's pink, here it kind of shines through, whereas this could be done with other ones. Do I have Cobalt Teal? I have PG50, that's my teal, I think. Let me get back to the chat. PV62. Let me just look that up first for you. Oh, was that the Rick? Was that the hue thing? I played that a lot. I think it doesn't exist anymore. I love hue. Was it these puzzles? I still have the game. So let's have a look at these. I will get some other things to mix it with. This is my PG50. Well, it doesn't really look well on camera here, does it? That looks more like PV33, which it isn't, but it's definitely my PG50. PV62. It could be anywhere from this point. There we go. And you were asking that when you saw this. PV62. So this is way more chromatic. I don't think you can get close to this as well, or you need to use a way more chromatic blue, but it mixes really bad with that. This is just a dull pink, right? So it's that's what it is. Let's have a look if I have anything here. First I'm going to mix it with PG16. Because yes, I think, and I think my camera just stopped again. Maybe I need to start the software of the camera. Maybe that's going to fix some things as well. Well, just sit back and enjoy your wine. Let me have a look at this first. Is there any? Yes, there's. Oh, I can use it here. I need more brushes. Let's just wash one for the pink. So this isn't a very good brush for it, I know, but it is making a lovely dull brown. So there is an actual brown. It has some of the same opacity, some of the same chromaticness. I don't know if that's a word. The PG16 It's actually quite a nice. For landscape, this would be perfect. It has a kind of a slight separation in it. There's a slight green shining through from the bottom, and the slightest texture that it's not apparently granulating. So yeah, it could have its use, but this again, it's not worth the pigment. Paolo, you're painfully honest today. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So let's But Paolo, you know that a brown is just a very desaturated orange, right? So you must like it. No, that's not true. I don't particularly like it either. I do like YInTiCo. I very much like YInTiCo. Except chromium oxide green. Well, this is basically like the lighter sibling of chromium oxide green. So yeah, I'm going to apologize in advance because I think you're going to be terribly disappointed with... Well, I'm sorry, just... What kind of greens are you wearing then? So let's have a look at the PG50 now. So, Creative Colors, you think this is going to be grey? Let's just have a look. So if it would mix like in a straight line, and this one is kind of over here, if it would mix in a straight line, then yes. If it curves inward, then it is going to be completely grey. Outward, it would be passing PV23 as a pigment. So let's have a look. We can definitely add anything more of anything. That's I think Gulchen, you are absolutely right. Lavender. So this is more YInTiCo. We're adding a little bit of PG50 here. It's like a dried lavender flower. Ryder, welcome. But this isn't going anywhere near like a full grey. I actually just have something similar to dirty blue-ish. So let's have a look if I can. I wouldn't say they're the most chromatic ones, but I definitely wouldn't call it grey, to be honest. I mean, compared to the ones with the cobalt, it's less chromatic. Oh, I need to take a proper picture of it. Let me get the white, correct the white balance here. You know what? We're just going to use the spectrometer for it. I'm just going to let this dry. In the meantime, I'm going to mix it. And let's just take one other brush for the yellow. I have enough brushes, but just not for my dot pens. Let me just quickly go back to the chat. Yeah, is calling, says chromium oxide green is extremely underrated. I'm contemporary art. In contemporary art, I think the Impressionists made great use of it. Yeah, I really like it, but you know, Paolo may dislike it if he likes to do that. Well, I have a PY101, no, 110 here, sorry, because I would like to see how it mixes with a sunnier, warmer, brighter yellow. You know, I already have a muted pink, so I want to see the separation of this because it's a very light pigment as well. Creative colors, I respect your opinion, but that's what it is. So it is not too warm. It's just something I liked to see, if you don't mind. I suspected, like, yeah, apricot. I wanted to say peach. Apricot is better. I think in a very thin wash, it could be Gulchen, something skin-like, but it is going to separate too much for that. I actually do think I like where this is going. I want to add a little bit more yellow to it. This is a little bit more yellow, a little bit more pigment of PY110, but also a little bit more water, because I really want to see that separation happening with this mix. It's already kind of starting. I don't know if you can see that. Here it separates a little bit, not as aggressively as this one. I actually really like the titanium, buff titanium one, because this is what YInTiCo looks like in my head. Like if I think YInTiCo, I think like a little bit more chromatic, but still like a pastel-like, a somewhat cheerier potash pink. And this is what I think with YInTiCo Red. If I look at it just like in its almost pure form here, it's a lot of difference. I do like this because it just gives a warmer touch to the yellow, which is already warm, but that texture that it gives without showing a lot of separate color, like this, I really like that. Thank you, Rick. Enjoy your coffee. I enjoy this. Do I have PY53? Well, yes. There's not a lot of pigments that I don't have. But it does save some time if I have it pre-mixed and made into a paint, which I do, I think. I don't. I do offer it. But I need to check if that is either dry or... You know what? I'm just going to use this pen. This was a yellow pen spilled over this from the top shelf above that. An orange pen, I'm sorry. So I really can't sell this. But this is still good paint. No orange has gone in the paint, only the pen. And oh. Or, Paolo, you could say, this PY53 has added value to you as someone who likes orange. Right? So you can also look at it like that. Don't be such a negative. No, sorry. Where is some fresh water? There it is. I was afraid of this. This is an older brush with real hairs, no synthetic ones. But I haven't used this in a while, and it has some tiny hairs on the side that let go of it. That was it. I think that was it. So let's have a look what this does. So there's the salmon we weren't looking for, but where is there it is. Oh, really need to add a little bit. Oh, here's the water. There we go. There we go. That is better. This is a nice kind of skin tone-ish. The yellow floats on top. Yellow floats on top. I don't like that. Because when I'm putting it on, I do see the chromatic pink kind of shining through. But as soon as I lift up my brush, I just see a layer of dullness above it, which is the very opaque PY53. Dusty, yeah. I think I like what I see here. Like, see, this is here. This is a little bit of a skin tone color. When you put it here, I need to really add a little bit of water to it every time I mix it. Also, just a weird reaction. Still a brush hair in it, I see, but doesn't really excite me a lot. I mean, you could... Oh, welcome old days. You could pretty much use this as a skin tone, I think. Just looking at it like drying. Well, this is the more yellow and less YInTiCo. This is barely any YInTiCo, this one. But the reaction of it is just... let's have a look. So this is all yellow. There's a little spot of YInTiCo there underneath it, which should just dissolve here. I don't think this is enough though, because I don't see any difference. Adding a little bit more yellow to it again. So this is just a touch. Yeah, only one company makes it, sells it, has the right to it, actually invented it as well. So the demand isn't high enough. There's no real use for it. A lot of water, almost all yellow, and a touch of YInTiCo. I think the touch of YInTiCo could have been a little bit more with this one. But we'll let it dry. We will let it dry. And you know, you see these are drying up more chromatically as well. And it has more separation when it dried. Yeah, I do like these as well. As you know, these can be really nice as skin tones. It has a little bit of texture, absolutely not natural looking at all. So it needs some work, but it's just not worth the pigment, right? You don't need to buy YInTiCo for it to mix something like that. Yeah, Paolo, it is. The process is expensive. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of heat. The raw materials, indium and iridium, are expensive. And the only use for it is a pigment for artists. So I don't think it's going to be long on the market. Yttrium, thank you very much. Yttrium and indium. It's not toxic now. Although it has cobalt in it, it's a cobalt oxide. Doesn't mean it's not toxic, a cobalt oxide, but it's not toxic. Even then, Gulshan, they will find a way to. Well, they find a way. They'll just mix the color. You don't want any granulation or separation in your car paint, unfortunately, or transparency for that matter. So that's that's the issue. It doesn't really have any added value more than Yinmin, for instance. That infrared reflectiveness of Yinmin, that property, that this pigment has the same properties, but it's yeah. No, I don't think the YInTiCo cars are coming anyway soon. Yeah, Mr. Pigments. Cobalt pigments are generally fairly safe. Fairly safe. I think that's the right way to put it. They're not the safest. They're not the worst as well. I mean, there's enough pigments here that are way more harmful than that. But even with that, as a pigment, the ones that are fairly safe or less hazardous or slightly dangerous, I just keep them away there. I don't want to breathe in this stuff as well. I mean, this is all fairly safe or fairly dangerous. It really depends on how you use it. And creative colors, putting them in my mouth is the least of my worries. It's the breathing in part. You know, licking brushes and stuff like that. Haven't done that in a very long time. So yeah, Mr. Pigments, but you know, in the Victorian age, people put lead white on their faces and vermilion on their lips. So times change a lot. There is a reason they took those cobalt pigments out of the finger paint of children, because it was slightly dangerous. I really thought you said were used instead of are used, because they did use. I mean, they used cobalt, and they used cadmiums in kids' paints as well back in the day. Or they let kids paint with it. Well, I know those companies definitely wouldn't be European, Mr. Pigments, because there are very strict guidelines here. And if they are European, they would never say so. So yeah, I don't know where you heard that, and I don't know where the companies are from. Yeah. But like I said, times have changed. I do actually like the floral background here. Although I really, you know, for me, this looks, it has some nice mixes, and I'm really looking at it as a pigment study. I will write the pigments with it, by the way. Then they're not using it anymore, because there are, I know from a couple of Dutch paint makers that there are weekly checks by officials that just make sure that the regulations of, you know, safety measurements and everything is right, as well as the materials used, and that's just EU law. So I don't know who of that company told you or where you heard it or read it, but that company wouldn't exist anymore if that's the case. This is all PR298 with PB74, PW61, this is PG16, this is PG50, PY110, and PY53. Yeah, but Mr. Pigments, those laws aren't really new either. I mean, most of especially when it comes to kids, most of those things are at least 20 years old. The laws, and if not older. I mean, I know I have painted with kid-safe paint like when I was very young, and that stuff hasn't changed since then. But that's a Dutch company. But I know they used to use pigments that we now think of, that, you know, how could you think of that, using materials like that in paint that is used by everyone. But that's, I'm talking before the 70s. Like, I'm really glad. A little bit more every day I'm not in the US. I know it has its things, but I wouldn't let my looking at what kids do with crayons. But then again, I know that, for instance, Fruit Loops are a completely different thing here than they are in the US. Where in the US they are just chemical sugar bombs, and in Europe, and I can't speak of the rest of the world, but in Europe it's just natural flavoring and wheat. And I saw a video a few weeks back, I think, on YouTube, where someone from the US compared the two of them, and he liked the natural flavor, like the least toxic chemical. I'm sorry, that's the better word. Chemical one. He liked it way better, but he didn't expect it because they look really dull. They look like some of the purples I just mixed, whereas the US versions, they are just colorful sugar bombs. And he liked the healthy version better. I really like seeing that, but it's the same thing with a soda brand like Fanta, for instance. I've had that in Asia. I've had Fanta, which looked completely different from what I know it should be or is, because I'm used to the version we have here. And then they did a test in the US as well with the Fanta there, which is just a bright orange. It looks like this, whereas the Fanta in Europe, for most parts, looks more like this, kind of, now a little bit more yellow, but definitely not this. And I liked our version better as well. Same as, we don't use sugar, fructose or glucose in Coca-Cola, for instance. We also don't use cane sugar like they do in Mexico, by the way. I'm really curious about that, if it makes a lot of difference with the version that we know. That the entire nice Paolo. The entire idea of adding just colorants and really unhealthy sugars and preservatives to food to just make it look prettier and make it more addictive. And the entire industry behind that, you know, I don't want to go too deep about that, but if you just look on the packaging and compare countries, like what do they put in the same product as something comparable to, you know, for instance, in Europe or what I'm used to, the amount of ingredients in the chemical ones, it's so much bigger, so much larger, the list of ingredients. It's just not appealing to me. But I'm not used to that. I'm used to what we have here, and even with what we have here, people say, you know, no, you need to eat or buy more natural stuff. Or it could always be worse. That's my point. Like putting cobalt pigments in kids' crayons. Anyway, so still very colorful background. This is definitely not chromatic enough. Is that North Carolina, Mr. Pigments? Yes, and that's only, I think, because I have an Etsy shop that I know some of those things. Because that's something else that so some people I know from the US really aren't aware of. I think we don't know your states, at least as a, you know, as a general. In general, people who know the US do, obviously, and people who have family there know a little bit more. But like for me, it's kind of, I can just say, okay, I live kind of east of the Netherlands, you know, where near Arnhem, because people might know that from the war movies or a Second World War thing. But anywhere else than that, I can't really describe where I'm from. And I've spoken to someone a while back from the US, and I don't know, I don't even know which state it was anymore, but they said it's Wyoming, I think. I have no idea where to put that, kind of. I don't know what the climate is. I don't know what it's like. I don't. But they were talking very specifically about things there, and I just couldn't place it. It's kind of like, where is that? And they were shocked that I didn't know. So yeah, it's kind of like. The size of the US and the size of the Netherlands is also kind of a thing, right? I mean, the farthest we can drive, like in a straight line, is, I think, 2 hours. And then you're just entering and exiting the country. Yeah. So that's our tiny world. A lot of things happen in our tiny world. Not always good things. Wolfgang, Cat, welcome and goodbye. I didn't see you before in the chat, but thanks for joining. And people, I think I'm just going to go in a few minutes as well. It's quarter to 11, and I've done a lot of mixing. Yeah, creative colors, to be honest, I think I can name quite a few as well, and not just because of my Etsy store. But especially the letters for a state or something like that. That's not so knowledge that I just have ready, at least. But yeah. I think I'm just going to clean this. I'll leave the chat open. I can just leave a little bit more open as well, but JE, you are on the late side of things, but this is just a summary of what I've done. The background you see here is YInTiCo. I made that before I added the colors above that. It's not about making art, but this is what we've done. We mixed YInTiCo with a few things. Don't forget the PB15 here. Yeah, I know Montana as well, but that's just because of Yellowstone. But that's the thing as well. I think, to be honest, I was speaking in general, so not personally. Personally, I think when I think really hard, looking at all the movies and series I've seen, you can get pretty far, I think, with the knowledge of that. Yeah, it's mostly like the letters that, for me, just as a thing. Yeah, I know. Creative colors. Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. I know where it is because of the series, not because. Never mind. Never mind. JE, it was fun and interesting. Let me just put it like that. Oh. No, not this. Sorry. No, what is it doing? I have some half pens in my card on Etsy, but it says they won't be delivered to the US until late March. Is that right? But we might have tariffs on EU then. Creative Colors, Yellowstone is a series. It's about a ranch called Yellowstone. It's not in the Yellowstone National Park. It's a series that is placed in Montana. It's on Sky Showtime. And Yellowstone, the series, is in Montana. Yes, JE, your question is you're correct with that. They won't be delivered to US until late March, is that right? About the tariffs on the EU. No, but I was talking about the. Okay, Creative Colors, you said I can tell you where Montana is as well, and I said me too. I know that from Yellowstone, the series, and you reacted. You are wrong. Yellowstone is not in the state. Uh, I wasn't wrong. It's the series Yellowstone. It's a ranch. It's with Kevin Costner. It's very good. You should try it. But I was talking about the series. I know the park isn't the national park. About the pants, half pants. Which ones did you put in your cart? Because I can have a look, and if I have some in stock or almost ready. Also, I don't hope there are going to be tariffs on everything, on all the goods. I'm yeah. So if you can share that, I can maybe send them before that time, but I'm not quite sure because, like, yeah, there's a reason I made pre-orders of everything. Gulshan, yes and no. At least from what I know, no, it's not import fees really. That's true, but they do pay taxes. So if you buy, if you buy. I'm really getting distracted by the tariffs thing. That's terrible. If you buy from me, I need to. Jeez. Yeah, I really need to take that in account. I need to hand over the 21% tax that I've taken. I need to pay that back to the government. If someone from the US buys from me, they need to pay taxes on top of that. So I don't get that money. I need to give it back later. They need to buy that separate. I don't even see that money. I don't even see the amount of it. It's just going to be. It's just something completely separate from what I'm seeing and getting. Quinacridone, burnt orange, gold, and cyan. I'm pretty far with those. I know that. Yeah, thanks, Paula. I really want to take that into account. If there are really, and because the US it's just most of my customers are from the US. If tariffs are going to be put on everything, and if it's going to be as ridiculous high as I've heard before, I'm quitting my Etsy, I think. And I really don't know what I should do then. So it's really kind of a yeah. It bothers me a lot. If that's really the case. I do share your worry. JE, could you please send me a message on Etsy? right? So we can communicate in private about this. You know, I wanna take your worries away. I'm a very creative person, and I don't know how creative I can be in terms of that. But I do want to help you out, and I really appreciate that you've been visiting my shop and adding things in your cart. So I really want to find a solution for you as well, but I don't want to do that here in public. And obviously I need to find something long term. I mean, you know, keeping my shop open for just the European market is possible, but literally most of my, like a large part, by far most of my customers are from the US. So yeah, it's kind of it hits hard. Let me just put it like that. Oh no, that's Paolo. Your grouchiness has its right to be here. Oh, we have JE and JD right now here, so this is making it confusing for me. I'm already tired, guys. No, just joking. JE, I really appreciate that, by the way. Any US related issues? Well, do you have it? Do you have a minute? Well, that doesn't impact. That doesn't all impact my business, I think, or any business related things. So. I need to go to look into it. I haven't been paying attention to that last 10 days, I think. It's just a lot of things I'm waking up with every morning that I just don't believe if I'm seeing or reading it. Fair point, sentience. Not towards its people, but towards the direction things are going. I think that's the best way to put it. And obviously, I don't know how this will influence my YouTube as well. I mean, I if this is really happening, I don't know what Etsy is going to do with it. So I have a few options. I'm going to open my own web shop, which takes a lot of time and extra costs and work for me. I don't think you should worry ordering from the US, I think. Then I really don't hope it's going to have any influence on the monetization on YouTube. That YouTube is, you know, in some way paying for that as well, and indirectly hurting that part of the minimum amount of income that I get from it. But you know, people that do get income from it. If it doesn't, it's going to be a real issue for my business. I need to focus more on YouTube, put out more content, and try to make that my main business. In the meantime, just trying to sell paint anywhere that it don't have any ridiculous rules against me as a business. UK is getting harder as well, by the way, for me. It's oh yes, that is my heater turning down. There it is. Which means it's going to get colder here. Which means I'm going to go. So yeah, terrace. Basically, what happens, right? If terrace are placed on everything, and it's going to be 25%, like people said before. It means I need to up my prices with 25%. It's I don't know how cold it is right now. 2 degrees. 2 degrees Celsius. But quite humid as well, so it's a cold 2 degrees. When it's kind of windy, it feels like it's freezing. And here in, you know, this newly made space, the heating, like it works. I have an electrical, like, oil heater here because putting warm water pipes for a radiator or something like that here wasn't really cost effective because it's not part of the house. And I have an air conditioning that heats up as well, but that makes not a lot of noise. I mean, it's quite quiet. But this microphone will make a lot of hissing or a lot of noise in the background when that thing is on. So I'm not doing that to you. So when I go live on YouTube, especially, you know, from, I think it's been from November on, I just put on the heater behind me, which I'm comfortable here. I can just sit on my t-shirt as well. It's like I'm comfortable. But when the air conditioning heater is off, which it is during the evening and night, basically, and this thing is off, and here it's not isolated very well. It's like okay-ish. It will get colder quite soon. Like in half an hour, I'm kind of like, okay, I need to get to work because I need to heat up myself, or I need to drink something warm. And since it's already 11, I'm not going to do that. I'm not in the basement or in the top floor. I'm in the, well, I would say kind of, I rebuilt the garage, which is a separate building from the house, to my studio, with like new insulated walls in it, but still like the floor is quite cold. The roof isn't ideal. It works. Everything works. Everything is fine. Humidity here is perfect, so it's not too humid for my paints to dry at the moment. Temperature wise, I can arrange everything. There's air conditioning, like it's a flat roof, so in the summer I can get it cool as well. But it has its, you know, its things. I think I'm just going to clean tomorrow morning. It's really getting late. Guys, I want to thank everyone for joining. It's been quite an interactive stream today. We got a lot of things done when it comes to mixing, at least. Not a lot of colors, but actually just my point of my thing for today was just showing you YInTiCo in real life. I didn't really hype it up, I know. Could have sold it a little bit better. But I want to stay honest as well. Because it is a very expensive paint. It is worth it. It's, I think, because of its single pigment properties. It's worth it if you have a use for it. It's worth it if you can use it as a single pigment, as a single color. in mixes. It gives some interesting results, but I don't think it's worth it for mixes. Just looking at this, now it's dry. It's a pretty... Can we... No, I will make a picture of it. I will post it later here on my YouTube community. Yeah, I will post that tomorrow, just with daylight, so you can properly see the colors. I do like this as a skin tone. There is a little bit of separation, and it is kind of... I'm just... You know what? I'm just going to do it like this. One moment, please. Don't leave yet. I know I saw that some people already did. It is not even the right color, not even close to the right color. Because I'm taking it like in a shadow with weird lighting. But I'm going to show you this texture. So don't go anywhere. Like I said, not the right color, but this is what it looks like when you know. So that has it's lighter. It's a beautiful skin tone, but this texture, it gives some skin vibes as well. I really like this. I really like. The little separation going on. Anyway, okay, let me just quickly read back. There was Gulshan. Thank you for appreciating the honesty. I don't, you know what I dislike, right? There's a certain company that sells an origin palette with just, you know, who. I'm not going to talk about that. That's going to be a weird way to end the stream. But you know who. Everyone, thank you for joining. Hopefully see you next time. Might be on somewhat later this week. But I'm just going to produce paint. Just going to produce because last days were not really very well for my shoulder. But I'm also going to take it easy because I don't want to have like a non-working arm anymore. So yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. And good that you like your creative colors. You chat along and ask away all days. I'm not closing the chat. I'm just saying thank you. And hopefully see you next stream. Bye, everyone.